Hey, what's up, everybody?
Welcome, 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 welcome to Unveil Paranormal Podcast. Thank you all for joining us on this lovely night and this beautiful early spring weather we had today, right,
Yeah,
Brad? Did you
yeah,
guys
seriously.
have like 60 degrees down there? Probably where you
Yeah,
were.
we hit the 60 today and no rain. It was nice.
And the sun was out. It was beautiful, guys. I hope everybody else had a beautiful day too. We want to welcome you all on tonight's show. We have some very special guests, but first we want to talk about events of this week. We only have one for you tonight. Brad found this little gem here.
Yep, Shadows of Savannah Paracon. It's down in Savannah, Georgia. Um, yeah, so if you're down that way, it looks like it runs Friday through Sunday, so should be a fun
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and check that out if you're down there near Georgia. I would have loved to gone just to travel. Would have been awesome.
Right, I've never been to Georgia.
Yeah, for sure. Me either. Well, I drove through it. So
Yeah,
that's about it.
when I go to Florida, I always fly, so I've never even driven through it. So
You were in the air.
yeah,
So.
I've gone over Georgia.
Well, guys, we do have a very special guest for you tonight. They are the lovely ladies of the Getters. Without further ado, everybody, welcome Tina and Dawn.
Hey, welcome, guys.
Hello, welcome. Welcome to the show. I appreciate you two joining us. We'll be sure to open up the comments sections if anybody has any questions for Tina and Dawn. Feel free to ask. I'm sure they're pretty open books. Now, you two have been in the paranormal field for a long while. Both paranormal investigators. You have your own page now on Facebook. So, what most people are going to want to know is what led you all into the paranormal field? What are your background stories of how you got here?
Unmute them.
Oh, I gotta unmute him. Hold on, I gotta unmute you. Oh, she has to unmute herself. While you do that, I'm gonna actually share on my page because it's showing an error up top. There we go. All right. Are you unmuted?
We are. Can you hear us?
Yep, we can
Yes,
hear you
we
now.
can.
Yep.
All right.
Awesome. So go ahead and share your stories. How you got into the paranormal?
Well, I have always been interested in the paranormal, and I just kind of got to a point that I drugged Tina along and said, "Hey, let's go to Waverly Hills." That was our very first paranormal adventure.
What year
And
was
that was
that?
15 years ago, 15, 16 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it was late summer of 2009, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been quite a while. And we
Now,
were hooked from the moment we were there.
Hmm.
We had a lot
now
of,
did you have experiences prior to that? Is that what got you into it?
well, my birthday is Halloween, so I'm kind of a spooky person anyway,
Yeah.
All right.
and
Okay.
everything. So, just things that were unexplainable and stuff like that. So the interest was there and everything. And it's like, okay, I saw an advertisement for Waverly Hills and got Tina and another friend, and off we went.
That's awesome.
So,
That was my very first pay to play location too.
yeah.
What about you, Tina? Did you have experiences or what got you into it?
So Dawn did get me into it, but I actually did have a paranormal experience when I was about 9 or 10.
Ooh.
My parents built a house in the woods, and we had our own bedrooms. And I don't know, it was 2 or 3 nights. I'd wake up and I would see a tall man walk past my bed,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, so it was really scary. I was really horrified.
I
Uh,
bet.
and then
Mhm.
And then I can remember one time walking into my bedroom and there was like something making noise in my closet, and it was during the day. And I was so scared I couldn't even go in there. I just ran back like to the living room where my mom was. So I had some experiences, but I didn't really know a lot about it. And I also went into a woods one time, not my woods, but another woods, and I felt sick. And I never really knew what it was, but then later I found out that the woods is supposedly haunted, which is over by Rome City, Indiana, kind of
Okay.
over by Duke's Bridge.
Okay.
And then Dawn says, "Hey, let's go ghost hunting." And then I'm like, "Why not?" When that was, I don't know, how old were we? I don't know,
Yeah, we don't want to discuss our age.
old enough.
But it was like 15, 16 years ago.
Oh,
Very
wow.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome because you guys still investigate, and that's one thing. Like I've seen a lot of people come and go, and just as long I've not been doing this publicly for 15, 16 years, but you two have seemed to consistently be investigating, which I think is really cool.
Yep. It's still fun for us, so we're going to keep doing it.
Rome
Good,
City. There's a mastery like that I like over there. Monstery? What's a monstery? Am I misreading that?
A monastery?
Oh,
That's
okay.
probably a monastery.
Okay.
I did get to go in there. The Catholics run the building now, and I highly doubt they would ever let anyone investigate. But it always was rumored that people have seen like shadows of like the monks that used to be there years ago. But it always is a good ghost story in the area for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, nice, nice.
Interesting.
So you now have the Facebook page. It's a private page, so some might not be able to find you. Just so you know, they'd have to get an invite. Because I tried to find you outside of already being part of it. But Ghost Getters is the page, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And what? I don't think you guys had the page years ago, did you? When I first met you?
I don't think we did.
Mm.
I mean, other teams were getting it. Actually, we never even had a name because we just always did it for the fun. But then it seems
Yeah.
like some venue wanted to have the team names, and so we're
Yeah.
riding along in the car one day, and we had our family with us, and everybody together kind of came up with this name. So,
Yep.
and then we eventually did the group page that we use for our friends and whoever wants to follow with our journey. So it's just a way to share our experiences, or maybe if we're doing something and we want other people to join, because it sometimes saves us money if other paranormal friends go with us.
Yep.
That's always good too.
Yep.
Some of these places are really expensive, so
Yes.
we need to work together.
That is for sure.
Yeah, I kind of wondered what led you guys to the Ghost Getters page, and I do think it's great. It's one of the pages I see quite often pop up on my page, on my news feed, and you guys are always constantly posting, sharing your stories, where you're at, photos, and whatnot. So I think it's very cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Brad, do you have a series of questions?
Sure.
Let's get to
What's
know
your
Tina
favorite?
and Dawn.
Yeah. What's your favorite piece of equipment you guys use?
Oh, wow.
Well, I have a couple.
Yeah.
A loaded question.
It is a loaded question. So my favorite piece that I've ever used is probably my full spectrum camera, because I think I caught the coolest piece of evidence with that device. And then my second is probably the Ovilus, because we both have one. And sometimes it's really relevant because we're getting similar responses. And so it's a good way to test it. And sometimes it really goes along with what we're going through at the time, investigating. So that's probably my second favorite.
Yeah. I like the Ovilus too. And here lately, my favorite has been the Dead Bell.
The Dead Bell. What's the Dead Bell? I've never heard of the Dead Bell.
It's kind of like a REM pod, only it's a
Okay.
bell, and they can ring the bell. And we've had quite a bit of success with that over the last few months and stuff.
It's like a EMF,
Yeah,
right?
like an
EMF
EMF.
detection.
Yeah,
Okay.
and stuff.
Huh. Never seen that. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah.
It's fairly new. been around about a year or so.
So I have a candle, which is also EMF, but sometimes it's really relevant because we'll have them both out, and sometimes at the same time they'll both go out. So
Really?
Oh wow.
piece of equipment that we throw out there.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Now, right before the show, I was actually talking about you two and the Ovulus, because I actually learned something from you two. I don't know if it was Dawn or Tina or who it was, but the Ovulus is, a device that gives out words that's within the dictionary of the equipment or whatever. On my way home today, my daughter was watching Sam and Colby. I don't know if you know who they are.
heard of them.
Yeah.
YouTube guys. Sometimes I think they're interesting characters, and they were using the Ovilus. And my first question to my daughter as they were getting responses is, "Are any of them two holding it?" And she said, "Oh yeah, Sam's got it in his hand." And I said, "Well, no wonder he's getting responses." Because one thing that I remember from, I think we were at Whispers Estates, and we had this conversation about when you're holding the Ovulus, it's much more responsive, and it could possibly be because we're shaking it or causing some type of issue with having it respond. Like it's more valid of a response if we are not touching that device. Do you guys remember having that conversation with me?
I remember, yeah. But
Yeah.
I do definitely agree, because I know even if you go to pick it up to turn it off, or you pick it up, it'll start spitting words. You almost have to know where you stop and just not count those words. I feel like it's just not relevant at that point.
Right. Yeah. Sometimes it just spouts out gibberish, and it's like, okay, that doesn't make any sense in this situation.
We try to set it somewhere where we can see it, but we're not touching it
Mm-hmm.
and everything.
And our hearing, sometimes we'll hear something and say, "Did it say?" And then we're going up and looking to see, no, because I don't hear right. But I'm close.
Yeah. And to answer Philip's question, no, she did not get the candle from Austin Maynard.
I got it from Ghost Stop.
Okay.
Okay. I'll have to look at that one too, because I guess I'm not too sure what the candle is.
I want to say it was about $80. But it's a nice little candle. I did have a problem with my first one, but Ghost Stop was really great. And I sent it back, and they either fixed it or sent me a new one. But they got it fixed right away and sent it back to me. So, and actually I had a problem with my Ovilus too. And since they deal with those now, they actually fix that as well. So for anyone looking for equipment, I do recommend Ghost Stop, because they do stand behind their product and they will help fix it if it needs assistance.
That's cool.
Yeah, I know you two. One thing I'm not gonna lie, I love investigating with you two because you guys actually like try out new equipment almost every time I see you, and so I love that. I get to experience it because I can just be there and watch how it works, and I've learned so much about different pieces of equipment just from you two alone, because you guys actually get the new equipment and try it out, which I think is awesome.
Right. That's awesome.
We are two kids in a toy store when it comes to Ghost Stop.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I wanted to try and look. Oh, so the bell can kind of like beep once or twice, but it's ring once or twice. You can kind of ask those type of questions, like ring twice, ring once. Okay.
I'm gonna have to look into the bell for sure.
The bell does go off caused by magnetism.
Yeah, we don't set it anywhere near where there would be magnets or anything. We try to set it off by itself and everything. Or sometimes we'll have like the candle and the bell setting side by side, and that's where they'll go off simultaneously. And everything.
Okay.
I think the other day we had one on the counter and one on the floor, and it's like maybe something came straight through and that set them both off. So, yeah, we do different things for sure.
Yeah.
Very cool.
The tripwire is another fan favorite of ours that we like to use. We went for the long cord, the long wire. But we've had some, you just never know when you go to a place. Like what the energy or what the spirits are going to like. And so, yeah, we get a lot of different things out, and sometimes they won't even touch the tripwire, or you know what I mean? You just never know. So it's always good, I feel, to have different things to try, because you're trying to figure out how you can communicate if there's someone there.
Right.
Just like dowsing rods or, other pieces of equipment. You're trying to see who's there, is there energy, or is there just nothing?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's always good to have a plethora of things to try and use.
Right. And it's great when we get with friends that actually have them and all of them will go off even though they're not connected and stuff like that. That's the ultimate when you can go right down a line and everything.
We we were at the Rhodes Hotel just the other weekend with some friends, and it's exactly what happened. We had the long tripwire out along the hallway, and then they had a wire going into, I think it was Everett's bedroom, and the wire would not necessarily go off like all of it, but like the ends of each of the wire would go off simultaneously. So parts of it and the same parts would go off, and it was really, really strange. But it was so cool because you really can't explain it. But I mean, it was actually messing with both of the wires.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like the end of the hall, like all the way down.
Yeah.
Opposite ends.
Opposite ends.
Ends.
Total opposite ends, but it was going off. And it was also setting off a couple of them were different colors even.
Right.
Which sometimes is unusual too, because usually like if it goes green or blue, you see some lights of the same color, but it actually on both of them was going a couple of different colors, which was unique in itself. So I don't know. It was just really great energy. It rained a lot. And then I think it turned to snow.
Right.
So I kind of feel like that atmosphere was right. That helped this spirit energy. It was the most active I've ever been there. Like, I couldn't believe how active it was.
Yeah, I love the Rhodes, and that hallway and Everett's room are probably two of my favorite spots in the Rhodes. So
yeah, and we had my Ovilus was going, and a friend had their Ovilus going in different spots, and we were getting a lot of the same words.
Really?
And
That's
stuff.
awesome.
And I turned on my Ovilus because I wanted to be in the cool kids club. And we all got some relevant words, and we're trying to figure it out. But we got the word Peter, and we got the word screw.
Yep.
All of us got the word, and we don't know if Peter was there trying to screw, or if Peter felt he got screwed, or we don't know what happened. But all three of us got those same words.
Needless to say, we did have a little bit of fun with the Peter and the screw. And,
right.
Great. That's great.
Come on.
Sounds like it's time to go to the Rhodes again. I haven't been there in a minute. So it's active.
I've not been in a while, yeah.
And it could be the weather. That's why you had such an active night. I find more stormy weather and any type of precipitation seems to be a better bet at an investigation than nice sunny days. I don't know if you would agree.
I definitely agree. When I talked about the full spectrum camera, my evidence that I got a video clip, and I also got a still photo. It was pouring down rain. I'd say like a cats and dogs rain. It was just a huge downpour. And what I got there, I don't know. It was unbelievable. It's like there were like two realms in one. Like, a Scooby-Doo ghost, a white ghost went up over my daughter Sydney's head. And I got a picture of a girl looking through a mirror, like looking at us. And when you look in the mirror, you think of, like what you see behind you, like you're looking and you see yourself. But what we saw was actually the bookshelf behind her.
So it's like you were just looking straight through it.
It's like we were looking straight through. We could see her, and we could see the bookshelf or the bookcase. It wasn't a reflection of, it was like actually there. Gives me chills to this day. It was just really, really crazy. So
that's awesome. Cool. I know my one investigation at Waverly was in 2017, and it was storming like crazy, and that was a very good night. It was an awesome night. So love the tripwire too. Only flaw with it is the nodes all have multiple solder joints, and wear and tear on them happens. Not trying to be negative Nancy, just trying to inform on things to look for. Good to know. Good to know. I do not have a tripwire, so awesome. Speaking of locations, do either of you have a favorite? All these years of places you've been, I know you two have been to some good places. Do you two have a favorite?
Tala is probably top of my list. It never disappoints.
Very
And stuff.
active, I assume?
Yes, and stuff. And Tala is the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Weston, West Virginia.
Okay.
Would
Never
you
been
agree
there
with
yet.
that?
Not been
Yeah.
there yet. So looking forward to going there someday.
Yep.
We had the opportunity with some friends and did a private investigation, and it's one of those where it would be great if we could all pool our money and do another one sometime, because the place is huge and it's just such an experience to go in there without all the other people, because you never know who you're going to get in a public investigation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we obviously have done many public investigations there. We've probably been there, I don't know, 8 times, maybe a lot.
At least, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's definitely a hot spot.
Yeah, it's definitely one of our favorites.
But only one time a pub or a private investigation, huh?
Yeah.
Only once, yes.
And it's worth it.
Yep.
It was worth it for sure. And I'll tell you another reason why. It's because there's a part that you can't get to that is very haunted, and you can only get to it if you do a private investigation. And that's, I think, the lobotomy recovery area.
Yep,
And
in
I
the
think
basement.
it was
Yep.
arts and crafts
Yep.
area.
Really?
So
Oh, wow.
that is, I think, important piece of information, because I definitely want to go down in that area, because that's where we have had quite a few experiences.
Right. We did get to go down there, one of the public investigations that we done, and several of us saw a shadow person moving from one side of the room to the other. And when we kind of went off onto another hallway, Tina actually had a spirit put their arm around her shoulder and stuff in that same little area and stuff. It was very cool.
Wow. That's so inquiring minds want to know, what's the bat to human ratio?
Do we ever see a bat there?
Yes, we did. We had bats flying around when we were.
You might want to wear a football helmet, Clarissa.
Yeah.
Okay.
You might want to put a helmet.
I will bring a helmet. You know, well,
And there was bats down in the Civil War wing. You know, there are a few areas that do have a bat issue.
yeah, okay.
Not gonna lie.
Yep. Well, you all know that I always have to ask before I go anywhere. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it was last year, but I think it was 2023. That spring, everywhere we went had bats.
Yep.
And ever since then, I've got like this PTSD going on. And I'm like, does it have a bat problem? Does it have 1, 2 bats? Like, what do I need to wear? Do I need to wear a helmet? Do I need to wear... So I have to ask, because I've never been to Tala, but obviously it's on the bucket list. So
Yeah.
I know. I had a bat happen in Tala. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Welcome, Krista. Welcome to the show. That's the one that's coming by later.
Yep. I like that. I like Emil's t-shirt idea, but what's the bat to area ratio?
I do need that. I mean, I can't imagine anywhere could get worse than ISS was that one time I was there, but
yeah, that was pretty bad.
That was terrifying.
Even worse than Middle Point?
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, there was just the sheer amount of them
swarms.
at Indiana State was.
It started raining, and they all came inside.
Yeah, they all found their way inside the building, and it was just everywhere. Like you couldn't walk in the administration building. They were like swarming around that bottom staircase. Just.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Moundsville, does Moundsville have bats then? I've not been to Moundsville.
Yeah, when we were there in West Virginia State Penitentiary, that's in Moundsville.
Yep. Yep, we've
Oh,
been there.
I'm sorry. I was thinking of the place in Ohio.
Ohio
That's
State
not
Reformatory.
Moundsville. Yeah. Moundsville did have bats, which that's where I learned to stay along the wall when there's bats, because then they won't hit you. I didn't get hit by any that day, so I stayed right along the wall the whole time.
Another place we had a bat was Adam Kimmel's Fairfield.
Fairfield County Infirmary.
Yeah, the infirmary. We had a bat encounter there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
might
almost,
just want to put one in your car, Clarissa, when you go places, just to be safe.
I've been trying to develop what I'm gonna call the bat cap. Is what I'm trying to create for like ghost hunters who have this fear like I have. They can just put the thing on, it'll just protect them.
I like that. I am Batman.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the bats. So
Yeah.
so where have you guys been lately investigating? Have you been out and about this winter?
Well, we did do a local restaurant. They thought their restaurant was haunted, and so they closed it down a little early and let us go in. And right off the bat, we had the voice of a little girl.
Yep.
Oh wow,
So
that's cool.
it was really interesting, and so that was nice to get that experience that you don't get every day. What else have we done? We did a library. We did Rome City Library, Limberlost Library in Rome City, Indiana.
That was Friday, December 13th.
Yeah.
And we had some interesting experiences with the key fob on my car that night.
Oh.
It would not work when we got out of the car to go into the library. My key fob would not work to lock the car. We're opening, we're closing doors, open the hatch, even though we never opened the hatch, closing everything. Finally got it to lock and everything. So we go in, we come out about midnight. I'm trying to start my car, nothing. Trying to unlock my car, nothing.
Uh-oh.
So I get my key fob up to the door and it lets me open the door. And of course, I can start the car and stuff that way. Mm-hmm. But it was just interesting that the key fob would not work. I got home and the key fob worked just fine. Have not had an issue with it since then.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But that night, Friday the 13th, it was having issues.
That's interesting. I had a similar experience when I left the Shabby Owl. The first time I was ever there, when I left there, my wiring went all wonky. My brake light stopped working. I had issues with the headlight. It was really weird. I had something very similar to that, where it was with the electrical right after an investigation.
Well, I'll talk about the Monroe House is another weird place where people have had experiences, and one of our teammates went with us, and she got really sick. She was sick. She was out throwing up, really sick. She had to leave. She got about 10 minutes away. She was perfectly fine.
Oh, wow.
So it's not just a vehicle. It can be a human too.
Yeah.
I've been really sick at Monroe House before too. Yeah. That's for a real thing there.
Yeah, that place is definitely one to check out for sure if you've not been to I know you two have, but other people have not been to the Monroe House, because it is one of the most affordable places to investigate, but two, it is really good usually for most people. So
Yep, really good, but it can be really scary. So I mean, if you've never been, I just suggest you take someone who is more experienced, because we took some newbies in there and we were very gracious with the whole team. If somebody had to go to the restroom, we all waited for the restroom. We all stayed together because there was some fear. And that actually was the night where the one person I told you got sick and she had to leave. But there was something very creepy there. And maybe it just depends on the night, but we all went to lay down, and something huffed so loud in my ear they heard it across the room. They were upset because we were going to bed. There was something there. You get that sixth sense, and some people might love it, but I mean, we had other people there, and we didn't want to traumatize anybody, so we just backed off. I mean, you might go there, it may not be, but you just need to be really careful when you go to places, especially the Monroe House.
Mm-hmm.
I spent the night there all by myself too.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
I remember.
Clarissa was there that night.
And me,
I was there.
and visited.
Tina was there for a while. Clarissa came for a while.
Yep, I appreciate that invite. I was actually worried about, like, the curse of the Monroe House was, that was the place I investigated before the tragedy I had in July. And I thought, oh my gosh, because I've heard so many stories of people, like, being there and then bad things happen afterwards. And I'm just like, so I'm a little nervous about going back. But I did go back in August with Brad, I think, for his birthday.
For my birthday, yep.
Yeah, I did think about that after being there for that July 4th hunt. So I don't know if it's true or not, or if it's just happenstance that some people have had bad experiences after being there.
Brad, what do you say? I mean, I know you go there quite a bit. Like, what are some of the experiences you've had?
At the Monroe, I've been there with some friends who are relatively new to the paranormal, but aren't afraid. And he was like standing up to it, and I literally like saw like this thing try to like intimidate him and get bigger than he is, and walk right up to him, and like we're like nose to nose with each other. That was kind of interesting. It's one of the few places I've ever seen my friend John like run out of when he got grabbed in the basement. I've been walking up the basement steps before behind someone, and I wasn't like super close to her, but I got like punched in the nose, like so hard my head went back and hit the underside of the steps.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It wasn't like she had like stepped back and like kicked me or nothing. It was like a full on just punch to the face. So I've had that happen there. Dragging and growling sounds. One time I was there and I was the only one awake because I got up before everyone else, and I heard like dragging across the second floor while I was down on the first floor. So yeah, Monroe's one place I will go multiple times every year. So
Yep, the hosts are great. Amel's still trying to figure out how he knows you two.
Who is?
Amel.
This is Amel.
Oh.
You want to know if you guys are at the Twin City Opera House, maybe?
We have not been there.
So
soon we will be.
Yeah, I know you two do go to a lot of you guys. Well, you do a lot of private investigations, but you've also made appearances at public places too. Because I know that's how I met you two. Was at a workshop with the team I was with years ago, and luckily we got to meet and got to build this relationship. But yeah, Amel runs with, I don't know what they publicly would be with, but they host a lot of private investigations, but you pay for a ticket. So
okay.
Yep. Yeah, the public investigations are nice, especially if it's a new place. You can go check it out. Hey, do I want to invest into a private investigation? The first ever time we went to Ashmore Estates, it was a public event, and then next time we're going to do a private and stuff.
Right.
But we've done that several times.
Yeah, same with me. The first time I was there was for a small convention, and then I'm like, I'm hooked on this place. I got to go back. So every time I've been back since, I've either been invited back or gone as a private. So
I think I brought a souvenir home from Ashmore actually that first time. I think I brought a spirit home with me.
Oh.
And,
it was it was a little like a child spirit. It was young, short, it was a black energy. And I actually saw it in my mom's house, and I saw it in my new house, well, the mansion. I saw it there once too. So, I believe they can probably come and go, and maybe this spirit comes to see me on occasion, but definitely had experiences after that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Have you brought any other spirits home with you, either of you two? feel like you have?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe so.
Quit
You know,
inviting them in.
well, after our first time ever to Randolph County Infirmary, it was, I don't know, a few weeks later, and I had experiences here in my house. And about the same time, Tina lived, what, about 40 minutes away at the time? And she was having experiences in her house that are
Oh,
just
wow.
totally unexplainable
Mm.
and everything. So,
Yeah, I remember we probably talked about that the last time we were on a couple years
yeah,
ago, but
yeah.
I had a hair tie stand on end, rolled out to the middle of our living room when our family was watching TV and just dropped all by itself.
Yeah.
And then
Oh, wow.
what happened to your house?
Right. I had a metal coffee scoop go flying off the top of my coffee pot and all the way across my kitchen and
Wow.
like bounce off the wall. Yeah.
So it was with force. It wasn't just like it fell.
Right.
That,
It was with force and
wow.
stuff.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And the dog and I were sitting in the living room and it's like, okay, what was that? And I go out there and my coffee scoop's laying on the floor and stuff. And
Hmm.
yeah. Yep.
I mean, we usually tell spirits that you can't go with us, but we just might be likable enough that they just don't want to listen.
Yeah.
So, but I'm open in the spirit world, and if somebody really wants to come and wants to stay, I don't have a problem with it. Like, knock on wood, I haven't been scratched or
Right.
physically hurt, and
Right.
so I open the space. If they feel that they want to come and stay, then they're more than happy to.
Right.
Mhm.
We are definitely non-provoking team members, and
Right.
we try to be as respectful to them and ask that they be respectful of us and everything.
Yeah,
know.
people ask me all the time if stuff follows me home, and I'm like, I can't even tell. I'm like, my house is so haunted anyway. It's just like,
You don't
It,
know
and you
yeah.
can't
who
tell
it
if it's
is.
something new or something that's been here forever. So,
Yeah.
Honestly, if there is a medium out there who is really good at figuring out names of spirits, I invite you to come to my house. And maybe come visit Dawn too,
Yeah.
because that's the number one thing when we investigate is who is here, who are we talking to.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Yep.
luck do you guys have? Because that's one area that is hard to get a name, but I would really like to know who I'm living with.
Yep.
mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know
They're here.
when I first got into mediumship, I would not do names. Like, I just could not get them. But I've got a lot of years under my belt now, and if a name comes out, I will tell you. So, just so you know, I don't know what.
Well,
Amy-
Amel.
we'll just make it a circle, and we'll all go investigate everybody else's houses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Right.
and that's I'd love that, obviously, but
Yep.
yeah, definitely. It's interesting when you live somewhere and you have other people come in, whether they're experienced or they're just family and friends, and they have an experience. It's very cool to see what others get and to not have anything to do with it. Because my house is obviously I've had situations at my house too where it's my family that's reported stuff to me. It's but I've not really had a lot of actual investigators here. So yeah, absolutely, it'd be really cool to see what everybody gets. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree. And I also think that it can be relevant to the things that you experience because, I can say, hey, Dawn, this happened. It's like, well, I can say that, but it, I think, means more when somebody else comes and has an experience. That way they know it's not just me talking. That
Yeah,
other people
validation
have
is great.
experience. Yeah.
Yeah. We were investigating at Tina's here a couple weeks ago and had an amazing experience with the tripwire and one of her cats.
oh
It
yeah,
was just, yeah, and everything that the tripwire wasn't really going off
yeah,
until her one cat came in and then it lit up like a Christmas tree. It was going through all the colors. As soon as the cat walked away, it stopped.
Hmm.
Cat
really,
came back, it was going berserk.
And people might say, well, it was a cat that was setting it off, but it wasn't the cat.
Right.
I actually said, can you show Gus how this
light
works? And we had this spirit box, Dawn spirit box up on the mantle, and sound like a little boy says, I can do it or something. And then it just happened.
Yeah.
And it was the coolest thing. And I didn't think that it did it twice. And the first time, I don't know that we got anything, but then
Yeah.
she recorded it the
Right.
second time.
The second time I got my phone out and was recording it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And I'm going like, I can't believe this happens when there's no camera running. This always happens. Something will happen when there's no camera running.
yeah.
Nobody's
Right.
going to believe us.
And as soon as Gus walked away, nothing. And Tina got up and she's walking by each of the lights and stuff. It's like, okay, I can't trigger it. So if I can't, how can the cat?
Right.
So, it was kind of a debunking and stuff, but it was really, really cool that it lit up all the colors for Gus.
Yeah. And another interesting thing was we were actually in the kitchen first talking, and I asked the question, do you like the animals? Because I have dogs and cats. And it said yes. It verified with the devices that yes, it did. So, I mean, we got that first and then the other later. And this little boy says, I can do it. And it happened. And it was really cool to hear the voice and to see it happen.
Right.
Yep. It sounds like maybe they were playing with the cat and they came in the room with the cat and
Yeah.
interact at that point.
Right.
That's awesome. Brad, question.
Do you have any upcoming events you are looking forward to?
Definitely. We got some revisits. We're going to go to Post Town. We've never been to the Geyer Opera House. We're going to go there. Going back, maybe to Ashmore, Randolph. Yes, we got some things coming along.
Very cool. You're gonna like Geyer. Geyer's gonna be fun.
We're looking forward to it.
Are you guys going to Geyer?
Yeah, with us.
Okay. Brad's supposed to keep track of who's all going, not me. I'm just showing up.
Yep.
Yeah, they're coming with us.
Yep. That's I think the only hunt I have coming up is Geyer. With Brad,
we're actually going to go there twice. We're going to go with you, and then we actually booked another one, and some friends of ours, Chris and Anna from Illinois, are going to come over. I don't think they've been there either.
Right.
So
cool.
Actually are going to get to experience twice. So the first one we can check it out, and the second one we can have a follow-up. So we're pretty excited about that, because sometimes, especially the first time in, we find the spirits don't really know you.
Right.
So it takes a little time. I feel they get comfortable, and so sometimes it's nice to have a follow-up visit.
Yep.
Right.
And we are based in Northeast Indiana. So.
Yep. They're actually near me.
Yeah.
Well, kind of.
We're about an hour north of Clarissa. So.
Trust me, that's close compared to everybody else.
Yeah. I'm about an hour and a half south of Clarissa, so.
Yeah. Brad's down there in no man's land. And...
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, my brain just went. What was I going to ask?
I will just say that I'm a positive energy person, and I do feel that we all have positive energy. And I know the paranormal field has some negative Nancy's out there. There's a lot of paradrama, and I don't really understand why. Because if you enjoy what you do, why can't we just go in and have a good time and be open and just feed off of each other's positivity? Because we get so much more positive experiences. We get experiences. Right. So I just don't really understand the drama. Like maybe they're just in it for
the laughing, the camaraderie and stuff like that. I think it draws them out and stuff. I think that's part of why Rhodes was so active, because we were having so much fun with each other and stuff like that, and laughing and joking and stuff.
Yeah, it's like, what? I don't understand why there would be negativity, especially like provoking it during an investigation. Like, if you talk that way to another human, they wouldn't want to talk to you. Like, why would you assume a spirit would want to do that?
Exactly.
So I never understood provoking.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I mean, I think I just want to say, like, when you talk to him about talking to him like they're human, I do think that's something that people do miss out when they're asking for commands and they're asking for whatnot. Like they're not thinking of it as a casual conversation with a living person, which they really kind of need to do, instead of it just being a demand for them to let us know they're there. We kind of just want to, when we're interacting with just ourselves, like amongst us four, I mean, they're going to start interacting with us because it's more natural, more human to them. Obviously, if we're dealing with something different, we got to act differently towards the spirits. But if it's humans are going to be humans and they're going to interact with us or not. They might be shy, but
yeah, some of my best evidence I've ever got is when I wasn't paying attention and wasn't asking questions and was just there in the moment.
And we've said that all along, that sometimes if you just ignore them and have a conversation between ourselves, we get the most activity and stuff. So,
awesome.
yeah.
So both of you have had experiences at your own homes. What is probably the scariest thing you've experienced within your own safe place, your own homes?
So I think the scariest is just if I've been home alone and something happens, like you think somebody's in the house with you, like I'm living in my dream house. I love my house, but sometimes there can be a vibe,
Yeah.
and so I think sometimes the fact of, like, I have cameras in my house and outside, and people say, well, why do you have cameras in your house? And I'll tell you why. It's because I want to make sure that there's no one else in the house besides me. But sometimes I have heard voices, and it makes you think, like, is that someone or is it a spirit? So it makes you question. So I think vulnerability, if I'm alone, is what I'm going to say.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have two little dogs and stuff, and one of my dogs will literally stand there and just stare at something and bark and bark and bark and stuff. And it's like, okay, he's threatened. I don't feel it, but he does and stuff. It's like, okay, my guard needs to go up. If my dogs are threatened, because normally they're just chill,
Yeah.
as chill as dogs can be, but so when he does that, then it's like, okay, what's going on? Who's here? Who's visiting? And stuff like that.
Right. I mean, I think we all agree that animals have insight into the spirit world more than we do, I think, which makes it nice to have pets in the house to help, notice those things. Because sometimes we're just too busy, to notice.
Sometimes it can kind of freak you out too. Like when I first moved into the house, my lab, he lost a lot of weight and he was really scared.
Oh, wow.
And I felt really bad for him. I couldn't help him. Like, you can't take him to a pet therapist. At least I don't think you can. So he learned over time to adjust, but I bet it took about a year. It took a long time. He would leave our bedroom every night at a certain time. He would go downstairs. He'd come back at a certain time. He was very timed. So, but he was very scared. So I felt bad.
Aw, yeah. That's where I recommend doggy Prozac.
Well, even now, your one dog, he will not go down the steps into the basement. He'll go in the basement if you take him around the house and come in through the garage.
Really?
He'll go up the steps, but he won't come down them
ever.
But he'll go up and down, going into the second and third floor.
Yeah.
But there's something about going down the basement steps that he just won't do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what it is.
I don't know.
Well, he's a rescue, so
maybe he was abused.
Yeah,
I hope not.
But it's just interesting that those are the only stairs that he won't go down. He'll go up them.
Yeah.
Yeah, to get away from whatever's down there.
Right.
That's probably absolutely it. 100%.
I do think in my house that I may have a couple haunted dolls. So I actually adopted the Misfit dolls from the old Para 101 that was in Winchester.
Yeah. Okay.
So I spent a winter. I cleaned them up. I scrubbed and
they were part of the fire, so they had smoke damage to them and stuff. A little bit of fire damage.
So if you ever come to my house, I do have 2 rooms with dolls, and we actually caught a figure on the SLS camera in one of the rocking chairs of a child, like a doll. And we've heard the voice of a child a couple times. So I feel like, but I have so many dolls, I don't know which ones they are, but they're very kind. Just, I don't have an Annabelle or anything.
Or Robert.
Or Robert the doll.
Robert.
Mine are very nice.
Yep.
They did have a lot of dolls from Paranormal 101 that I remember.
Yeah, that's a building I would have liked to continue to been able to investigate. It was a very interesting place.
What was her name? What was her name that owned that? Do you remember?
Rowana.
Rowana. Yeah, okay. I know that there was a haunted doll or two that she gave them to somebody else. But I just took a bag of the misfits. There were a couple bags. I hope someone else took some more because I don't know, just the emotion and everything.
Yeah.
So
that definitely was a weird building.
Yeah, we were actually at the Geyer Opera House the night that caught fire.
Yep.
We were somewhere.
We were at the Whaley House in Flint, Michigan.
Yeah.
Were you? Okay. Yeah. So I've not been there to that one.
I've never been to Michigan, so.
Yeah. Brad has investigated Michigan.
I'm 3 miles from the Michigan line, Brad.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You are way the heck up there.
Yep.
It's time to go to Michigan this year, Brad, for an investigation.
Yep.
You gotta do it.
Definitely got to make it up there.
If not, I'll go sent to the casino. Because you still owe me a casino day.
Yeah. Yes.
Never made it for my birthday.
That's it. Friends group, trip to Firekeepers.
Yes, let's go. I haven't been in a long time. Yep. Awesome. Well, I really do appreciate you two jumping on here. If anybody has any questions, Emil has a question. You can jump on here real quick and go ahead and ask your questions.
Would you have been at the Hannah House Paranormal Day?
Not Paranormal Day, but I did go with Clarissa. I went with Clarissa and Jason Snyder was there. I remember.
Yep. We got an invite from Jason to go. Yep.
Okay.
And I have not been to Hannah House.
You haven't been to Hannah House?
I have not.
Really?
Yeah, I had something else going that day.
My sister's coming to the casino, by the way, with us.
Oh, you're more than welcome, Scarlett. You fit right in with the rest of us.
Yeah. I don't know, Emil. I don't know where you would have seen them. Anything public you two have been to recently. Yeah, like I said, I don't know.
And we were at Para-Unity, where it was maybe.
Yeah, we walked around Para-Unity.
Yeah, Emil didn't make it out, I don't think, to Para-Unity this past year.
A couple events at the Bell that were public.
Yeah.
It's pretty close.
Yeah, Emil's in Ohio, so I'm not sure if he even been to the Bell.
We did a public, what was that one where they used it as a haunted house? It was creepy as heck. The Haunted Hydro. Have you ever been to the Haunted Hydro? That was creepy.
Yeah, I've never heard that one.
It's south of Fremont.
Ohio. It still had the haunted house items in it, and stuff looked really real.
I would nope.
Clown doll and like a body laying on a table.
Not doing that.
So creepy. I was scared just for our lives that there was somebody in there.
And we done it alone. It was just the two of us in there and everything.
Yeah, it was scary. Yeah.
Emil, I have a theory. Maybe they look familiar because maybe you need to meet them because, one, they're awesome. Okay. So that's what it is. Like maybe you're just, they got a familiar face, so that they got that familiar energy. So y'all ought to check out the Pythias. Oh.
Pythias.
Yeah, I haven't been there.
It's worth it.
It's not bad. Definitely take a small group.
Yeah. You only need like 3 or 4 people total. But it's
Yeah.
fun. It's a fun place.
Yep.
I remember I was one of the first people ever to be there before it got turned into got fully remodeled. So I've seen it go from dilapidated and scary as heck to what it looks like now, and they've done some great work to it.
Cool.
Wow. Yeah.
It is one thing that I really love about the paranormal is how we help rebuild and restore buildings, because that is something that I'm a firm believer of. And I love to see that. And it's really disheartening when you go into a place and you see it's in disrepair and you just hope that it doesn't get worse. You hope that the community helps. We hope that they spend the money in the right
Right.
way, I suppose I'm trying to say.
Right. Yeah. I mean, over the years, I mean, all of us would know this. Over the years, we know who's taking care of their buildings and who's not, because we've been there multiple times.
Oh yeah.
So we know for sure.
Yep.
Speaking of clowns, you've not been to Asher Walton?
I've not.
Brad's not.
We have been there.
We've been there a couple times.
Yeah. Yeah. There's clowns there apparently. All right. Well, if they don't have any more questions, Brad, do you have any more questions for our lovely ladies?
Not that I can think of.
It's like, I already know everything about them.
Well, I will tell you that I actually saw a partial apparition in my house in December. That was a first. And I was talking to somebody, and they're like, well, did you say anything? And I said, no.
I was stunned.
I was shocked. It was in the moment, and I just let it happen. So I don't know, have you guys ever experienced
I've seen shadow figures. I've seen shadow figures in my home with like just black outlines, no actual details. Well, I've seen a floating head, but the rest is just,
gross. Really?
Yeah, of a little blonde girl going down my hallway. She had no body; it was just a head floating down the hall. But I saw that, and I've seen different shadow figures in my house.
Did you recognize her? Is going to be my question.
No.
It
was just, and we're only the second owners of the house, and my uncle was the first owner, so it wasn't any one of us. It wasn't a relative or nothing, so it has to be tied to the land.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my house, my kids have reported shadow figures here. Mostly my daughter. My son used to report things to me when we first moved in. But as he got older, he got more skeptic, and he didn't want to hear none of it. So he stopped talking about the paranormal after a while. I think he got tired of me and Aurora talking about it. So. But yeah, we've always had things come up missing. We constantly have our mimic that still we can't confirm who the mimic is. I wish we could, but my brother's heard him. My whole family's heard him. When we had Thanksgiving, that was probably one of the biggest moments, was when we were having Thanksgiving and we heard my nephew Lucas hollering in the other bathroom for toilet paper. Several people at the table heard it. And
oh, wow.
Lucas was actually in the living room, not in the bathroom hollering for toilet paper.
What was the family's reaction? What was the reaction of the family?
My brother was like, see, I told your house was haunted. But because he lived with me twice and had experiences in the 10 years I've been here. But my dad and my dad's wife was also here, and she actually believes in this stuff, and she's like, oh my gosh, there's a little boy in there, and then we get in this whole conversation. I can't connect with this lady for nothing, and finally we found something in common, and that's ghosts. So she's like, tell me all about it and stuff. But yeah. They were pretty surprised. I actually didn't hear it, but like they were all like, where's Lucas? We can hear him, and they're hollering just heard him hollering for toilet paper. And I'm like, okay, he's in the living room. I don't know. It's just a mimic. That's what we call him, the mimic, because it's usually a voice that you hear within the house. Sometimes it's not a human's voice. Sometimes my dog barks, but my dog's not really barking. He's like laying right next to me, but I'll hear him bark. So we just call it the mimic. So fun stuff.
We had a spirit in my house. It actually mimicked my sister. We were having a dinner, and she was going to come in from the garage, the basement, and we were upstairs waiting. You hear the door shut, and you hear a woohoo. I'm like, oh, come on, everybody, she's going downstairs, and there wasn't anybody there. It was so great.
Oh, wow.
I loved it. It was great.
Yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, ladies, it's 9:00, so we're gonna wrap up the show again. Thank you both so much.
Yep.
For joining
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Oh, no
I
problem.
love hearing you two stories because you two always seem to have them every time I talk to you, which is awesome. Thanks for joining. If you can find ghost getters, or you want to try and find ghost getters and follow them, that'd be great. Otherwise, they share stuff all the time, so check it out if you can. And anything else, Brad?
I think that's it.
Always make sure I give him a chance to talk. Otherwise, I will talk the whole time. All right, everybody. Well, thank you all for joining us, and we hope to see you all next week. Have a good night.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.